Welcome back to my cave, once again, humans. I'm kinda strapped for ideas for videos right now, so I'm kinda falling back on fighting games since it's my favorite genre of video game. Although I might make another Fredventure video soon. But for now, maybe let's do some white belt challenges in Vampire Savior. But first, I want to explain one specific rule. Regardless of difficulty, you must encounter the bonus fight. But I have to be honest, I didn't even know there was a bonus fight at first until I played the game in Capcom Fighting Collection. And there it was, that stupid achievement I need to get, telling me that you forgot the bonus fight. You didn't really clear the challenge. But at least it tells you how to encounter the bonus fight, so no big deal. In addition to that, you must play on turbo speed, and you are not allowed to continue. This whole thing must be done in a single quarter. And finally, this must be done not in Capcom Fighting Collection, but in Capcom Arcade Second Stadium. Why? Because Capcom Arcade Second Stadium uses the arcade's AI for every setting, meaning it uses the arcade's original easiest difficulty for easy, medium difficulties for medium, expert difficulty for expert, and so on. Capcom Fighting Collection, on the other hand, uses its own AI, which on the easiest difficulty is significantly weaker than it was in the arcade. And I noticed the character's attacks do very little damage to me, which seems kinda... no. And I'm going to say this right now. Vampire Savior on the easiest difficulty in the arcade is not one of the hardest challenges ever. It's not like in Third Strike, where beating Gil, even on the easiest difficulty, is a true blue achievement. Beating Vampire Savior on the easiest difficulty plus the bonus fight is, well, I wouldn't say it's easy per se, but it isn't particularly difficult. But it is tough as nails compared to the easiest difficulty for Vampire Savior in Capcom Fighting Collection. And that, because I do want to have some sort of achievement, even from the White Belt Challenge. That's why I'm playing this on Capcom Arcade Second Stadium. So in conclusion, no continues, must be played on Turbo, must clear the bonus fight, and must be played on Capcom Arcade Stadium 2. And with that out of the way, let's begin. I kinda want to eventually do it with everyone, but I want to start with my favorite character before moving on to one of the more popular characters. And after that, it's whoever I feel like completing it next with. I don't want to do all my favorites right out of the gate. I kinda want to save some of my favorites for later, like John Talbane and whatnot. And I suppose part of me wants to see if there's any major difference between any of the difficulties. Which, come to think of it, might be an advantage to Capcom Fighting Collection, since there might be a bigger variance between all the difficulties, but... I already know that the easiest difficulty here is harder than the easiest difficulty in Capcom Fighting Collection. But what about the hardest difficulty? Well, I might do a video on that sometime soon. But anyway, let's start. Now, you probably already know who I'm gonna play as just by judging by the thumbnail, but I mean, does it surprise anyone? In all honest to godliness, does it really surprise anyone that Sasquatch is my favorite? Especially if you're one of the unlucky few who... Actually, that has nothing to do with it now that I think about it. But I mean, his anatomy is thick and bulky and whatnot. So, yeah, that's a point right there, but More than anything else, he is the truest monster in this game. Not only is he not human, but he was never human. Speaking of which, he's kind of the Darkstalker's parallel of one of my mains in Street Fighter, Blanka. And I noticed that a lot of the characters in the original Darkstalkers kind of are parallels to Street Fighter characters. I mean, Morrigan's kind of a parallel of Ryu, Victor's kind of a parallel of Zangief, and Dalsum gets a 2-for-1 special. Anacharis is slow, floaty, and methodical like Dalsum is, but Lord Raptor has a lot of his moves, and a lot of his reach. Like, geez, Dalsum must be the man! Although, come to think of it, Anacharis is a little more closer to Sentinel from X-Men Children of the Atom, considering they're both very big and very slow. But who's keeping track? Anyway, the requirements for getting the bonus fight is that you have to defeat 3 opponents with either an EX move or while in Dark Force mode. Sasquatch actually has 2 Dark Force modes to work with. One where he gets a little bit of super armor, and one where he has penguins that turn into bombs. In addition, this isn't a round-based fighting game like most are. Here, you get 2 life bars. If you deplete 1 life bar, the positions reset, but the life bars do not. In order to make it to the bonus round, you are not allowed to lose any life bars. And so far, I've been doing pretty good. I've been using a strategy that works for me, and turning on dark mode right before I land the finishing blow, which is important, because, you lack the pluck to... What? I don't get it. But yeah, you need to clear at least 3 whole fights while dark mode is activated, or use an EX move to finish your opponent. Since I'm not really good at using EX moves, I think I know how they're done, but it seems pretty inconsistent for me, so maybe not. So I just rely on dark mode, or dark force mode. Let's see if I can't use those penguins a little more effectively this time, or at least show you what they really do. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Well, that's one way to use them. Alright, and... Ah, crap, ran out, so let's try the super armor. What the... No! No, Sasquatch isn't human! Don't turn him into a human! Ay. But hey, I actually managed to get his Midnight Bliss in the video, so yeah, that's gotta count for something. Fitting the Midnight Bliss into the video. That's what it's called, right? Alright, that's 3 fights I've won in Dark Force mode. And here it is, the bonus fight. Who is it? Rikuo. Honestly, one of the more monstrous looking characters, but has kind of a humanish looking face. And yet he's still probably one of the cooler characters just for being less human, but I'm gonna have to kick his butt anyway. And honestly, this is something that really pisses me off about, well, actually no, I really shouldn't put my rants in these videos, but if you've played Vampire Savior 2 and you know anything about me, which you probably don't, you'll probably be able to figure it out. So far, my strategy's kind of just been to rush in there. Rush in, rush down the opponent, get some big hits in, and remember that Sasquatch does not have that great range on most of his normals. You know, that's the second time he's used that quote. I'm actually kind of surprised at how many quotes everyone has in this game. So, to see him use a quote twice is... Alright, next we're fighting QB. She's usually not too hard, and what classic monster is she supposed to be based off of exactly? How does she fit into Darkstalkers? Honestly, Baby Bonnie Hood is, she's Little Red Riding Hood, but more on that later. Also, we get another Morrigan variant, and the final boss is Jeddah. But Jeddah actually makes sense because he's the Grim Frickin' Reaper. Like the boss in the first Darkstalkers game, even though I think they refer to him as an alien, is clearly supposed to be Satan. Like, how can you not see him as Satan? Unfortunately, Pyron's not in this game, but he is in Vampire Hunter 2 and Vampire Savior 2. Again with that quote? Really? Vampire Hunter 2 is basically Vampire Savior, but without all the new characters and bringing back a lot of the old characters, while Vampire Savior 2 is basically Vampire Savior without all the good characters. But like I said, if you know, you know. And here we are. Here we're fighting Little Red Riding Hood. How does she fit in with Darkstalkers? Well, it's kind of a novel idea, okay? Turn the brave lass who defeated the big bad wolf into a monster hunter. Sure, why not? Even though in the original tale, Little Red Riding Hood was actually wolf-forward. But modern people don't want to hear a story where Little Red Riding Hood gets eaten by the big bad wolf. So yeah, they've kind of made her into a badass. Baby Bonnie Hood can be kind of tough, and I am glad I don't have to be perfect anymore. Oh boy. Let's see if I can land that final blow. Something about the AI in this game. It, like, gets stronger as the fight progresses. Like, its guarding will get really, really good. Your reaction times won't be good. It just kind of gets really nerve-wracking, because you're nervous, the AI is starting to adapt, and can you really finish it? Yes, you can. At least I did just there. Oh boy, but the later fights really get hard. Or I mean, they get more like that, where the AI ramps up in difficulty as the fight progresses. And like I said, it's kind of nerve-wracking. I don't know if it's a part of the charm of the game or kind of a downside, because, oh boy. I guess it makes every victory feel more satisfying, but it makes every defeat feel more like bullshit than anything else. Like the AI's guarding becomes almost perfect, their reads become psychic-like, it's kind of frustrating. And I'd say it's satisfying when you beat the opponent when it gets like this, but honestly, a lot of times when I beat the opponent when they get like that, it feels like I got lucky. I don't know if I'd really say that's all that satisfying. But whatever. We're fighting Lilith. She's usually not too bad. And she wasn't that bad here either. Also, I like the eyes that popped out on the train, but was the tongue necessary? No, really? Did they have to put that quote in the game? Really? Alright, here we are, the final boss, Jeddah. And like I said, he is the Grim Frickin' Reaper, which is actually a pretty fitting final boss. The Darkstalkers characters are all based on classic monsters of gothic horror, and that just makes QB and Baby Bonnie Hood that much more what? Because Jeddah fits in with that perfectly, but those two, I don't get it. Like, okay, the concept of turning Little Red Riding Hood into a badass, fine, but for this game, I don't know. Alright, one thing you need to know about Jeddah, he doesn't like Rushdown. A lot of his moves have pretty slow frame data. Keep that in mind, but oh boy. Once again, that AI likes to ramp up. And that's just an anomaly of fighting games. Like, I don't see that a lot in... Ooh, I don't see that a lot in fighting games where the AI just gets stronger as the fight goes on. Usually it's pretty consistent, but here, whoa! Okay, those bombs are kind of useful. I don't like how Sasquatch needs to pound his fists together before and after Dark Force is over. But I think every character has something like that where they're open briefly and... Why? Okay, let's see if I can finish him. Doing good, doing good. Gotta use those pokes. I mean, light attacks are just as useful as heavy attacks in the right situation. Okay. Oh boy, getting nerve-wracking, getting nerve-wracking. Come on, and nice. Yeah, no big screeching fit this time. No, kind of not that much. What's the word? Like when I beat Gil with Urian, I was on cloud 9. I was on the moon. Like, oh my god, I can't believe I did it. But this, I've actually done it quite a few times before, so this doesn't feel like quite as big of an achievement, but this is still a fun challenge. I like the one that's stuffing all those bananas in his mouth. Cute. And I like how he kind of gets a goofy ending for a goofy character. Probably one of the more friendly characters in the game. That's kind of why I like him. Anyway, here's the credits if you want to look at who made the game, who worked on the game and whatnot. I don't have much to say during the credits, but I can say at least that this is a pretty underrated fighting game. I do kind of wish there were more actual monsters and less undead humans and human image characters, but I get that they're trying to go for gothic horror and trying to take very common legends and whatnot. And a lot of those monsters really are more on the humanish side of things. And I will admit, I'm actually kind of surprised there isn't a hunchback character. I think that would have fit well with the game. I don't know if I'd really call Hunchback of Notre Dame, even the original story, gothic horror per se, but no, he's a freak. He's kind of seen as a monster. Hey, it'd fit more than some random bee girl. Or maybe a Jekyll and Hyde kind of character. Is it Jekyll or Jekyll? Because I heard that it's actually supposed to be Jekyll, but my dad insists it's Jekyll. Especially since Jekyll is an actual name. I looked it up and apparently it's supposed to be Jekyll, but like I said, there's also the name Jekyll. Might be an offshoot. I don't know. I'm no expert. I'm not the guy you should really consult with that. Or hell, there's still tons of different characters you could pick, like a witch or an invisible man, and if we really want to have monsters, what about a gargoyle? That would be awesome. Or hell, take inspiration from mythology, maybe the creatures from hell. There's a lot you could do, and there's a lot of interesting ideas you could have for monsters. But sadly, Capcom doesn't seem to be interested in making a new entry into the franchise. Just interested in re-releasing a lot of these games, so I guess that'll never happen. But anyway, that was Vampire Savior. Maybe I'll do more of these challenges, who knows. But until next time, I'm Baalf, and the cave is closed.